All right, everybody, welcome back to part 2 of our build here, where we are going to tackle the exterior of our Mark 5. Now, look at all those road wheels. Yes, and you're seeing that correctly. There are 2 different types of road wheels, and they need to be placed in a certain order. I didn't even bother showing that because I was in for a long day of modeling. So pretty much we're just going to make ourselves as comfortable as possible because this is a lot. It is by far the most amount of wheels I've ever done. Thankfully, they're only 2 pieces each. There's not like a large assembly for these, so it's really just exterior, interior part of the wheel. You glue them together and you got yourself one wheel. But I'll be remiss to say I don't even think I needed to really build all of these wheels because a lot of them weren't even shown, just the way that the hull is. But after building the wheels, as you can see, we put in some of the supports there. So the large open area, those have like some ammo and like some fire extinguisher bits in there that we can put together, as well as the bottom frame that goes attached to. Now here we're just putting together some of the more like interior parts. These aren't really going to be shown at all, but we're going to fix that later and you'll see what I'm talking about. But there's some really cool like gearing here, and unfortunately it was covered by the exterior hull that you'll see in a second after we're done putting this all together. This is actually like the top runner, or this is considered like the return roller for the top. The construction of these Mark 5s are actually like pretty cool. All the wheels are internal. You don't really see them. The track is external, obviously, and it's external all the way around. So yeah, here we are just putting on the wheels, and they have to be in a specific order. Otherwise, the wheels will not fit to each other. And I actually did mess up once or twice, but it was an easy fix. You just pop the wheels off. I did not glue these together. I did not glue the wheels at all because I figured if they're going to go encased in the other side, then why even bother? But here is the external of the shell, I guess you would say. Nice detail on this, and it fit together like a dream. But as you can see, we have like that vent there, and that vent covers up some of that gearing that we want to show off. I don't really understand why this kit would add that extra little bit of gearing there, unless you were completely planning to you know, blow off the sides of this thing. But yeah, we couldn't let that happen. So as you can see, we already removed the vent, but there's still not that much detail shown because you missed that whole gearing apparatus. Now, if you have any children or anyone susceptible to like the dentist office, now is the time to fast forward the video, because I mean, this hurts me. I never ever enjoy doing this type of physical work to you're pretty much destroying the mouth. Matter of fact, no, cut away. I can't look at it anymore. I can't show you anymore. I feel terrible. I understand it makes the model better, and I'm going to get better with showing and doing that type of stuff. But let's try to get back to this. Okay, so now that we have both sides of the tank completed, we can go ahead and start putting this together. Now, that interior color that you see, that is just white with a little bit of buff. It kind of comes out to like a cream color. I couldn't really find any references to whether it was completely white, and I know a lot of interior tank stuff was like this white-ish color, and the color callouts are like a tan-ish thing you got going on. But there are some really cool details going on in here. A lot of it you really will not see just because of the massive, you know, engine that you have going there. But you have like some of the shell casings or storage for the shells were on the inside. That's why you saw the brass. Hand painted those, obviously. No way I was going to take an airbrush to those. And as we join the 2 halves together, fit pretty well. It did take a little bit of like planning and really messing around with it to figure it out, but ultimately we got it. So here we're just going to tackle some of the like viewing components and viewports and stuff like that we can do. These are super simple. I didn't even bother showing you how to glue these, but they are about 6 pieces each. Again, very little intricate parts, but nothing really to write home about. And as we attach the top there, so here we wanted to really get this out of the way. This is painting the exhaust that we have up top, and now we're going to use our rust effect colors, but as always we're going to cover it with German gray or dark gray. Either one really works. And then we're going to take a very dark rust tone and we're going to hand paint the exhaust here before adding some speckling effects with lighter colors of rust, progressively lighter colors of rust. So we got this really dark brownish red. We're going to go and we're going to use like an orange or just a red. And then I don't even think we really used yellow, just because of how old obviously this tank would be and how exposed this metal would be. So yeah, I didn't get to film it, but final product, you see I actually used some sponge chipping with black to really give it like a tarnished effect. So all right, now that our exhaust is done, we can continue to move on, and now we are going to move on to these fighting compartments that are on the side. Now these fighting compartments actually have a decent amount of parts to them. It includes the main guns on each side, which are actually really cool. They were a blast to paint. You're gonna see that in a little bit. But typical sprue cutting. Again, shout out to this kit for just being so clear and precise with its instructions, and then being so highly detailed and not having any fit issues really, because I had an absolute blast building this. It just took a long time. That's really about it. There's our completed gun, and the gun is actually workable or movable, but I mean, and this is without it being glued at all. It's so kind of like stiff that it's almost like brittle, so I didn't even bother. I just kind of glued them in place. And this is our final before we started to paint. Now when we go and paint these, we are going to use, again, dark iron. I was contemplating using black, but I think dark iron just has better contrast when you begin to dry brush, and I think it becomes a little bit more realistic, and a little bit more realistic in scale too, because these were fired and they were worn. So again, pretty much dark iron. Take your paintbrush and dip it in some silver, unload the brush onto a napkin just a little bit. Now we wanted to go really worn with this, so I didn't unload as much paint as maybe I should have, but the result still looks really good, so I can't even really say anything bad about it. But just dry brush just like this, very simple, effective way to get a lot more detail out of your model. Okay, now we're fully moving on to the crew compartment, and this is what it looks like when it's all said and done. I would say this was about 10 to maybe about 8 to 10 pieces each. We put the guns inside like these little I guess like covers, you would say, like external covers that are like pretty cool. So yeah, that was one of the sides. I'm just going to briefly take you through or showing you some parts of the process for building one of these up. That in itself right there is about 4 to 5 pieces. So, again, not a super intricate part, highly detailed, and a lot of parts per step. So that's what we're really working with here. As we continue on, we are going to make these a little bit different, or a little bit alternating on the sides, because obviously we want to be in a position where we're able to show some of that external or internal features that the tank has. So you would want some open components here, and that's what we're going to do with one of these sides here. So same rules apply for painting, except now we're going to be able to hit this with some weathering. So again, we use that white and buff, and now we're just going to go along here and we're just going to dab this up to make it very worn on the inside, makes it very like worked in and lived in. And this is pretty much it. I mean, easy step, guys. So so far this has been a lot of fun to build. As you could tell, we have a lot more stuff that we had done off camera, and we masked this off anticipating the paint or the painting process. So this actually was not that bad. It just took a little while. Now enjoy some very beautiful still shots shot by the Sony a7 IV. And yeah guys, thank you so much. And next week, or whenever I drop the next video, is going to be painting and weathering put together. So thank you guys.